Welcome back to the Speak Up Erika podcast. And in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how I paid off $13,000 in credit card debt in about a year. So, I'm going to be very transparent about what I was making last year, how I got into debt, and then how I paid off my debt and what my steps were. And maybe that can help you in your own debt journey or help you pay off debt or just even be more open to talk about finances. I feel like personal finance is a very taboo topic. No one likes to talk about how much they make, no one likes to talk about how much debt they're in. But I think it is really important. I think right now with social media, a lot more people are transparent about their finances, and some people do share how much money they make, what their expenses are, and what their pieces of advice for a debt free journey is. So, first, how did I get into debt? Well, I guess most of it would stem from like how I grew up with money. When I first got a job, I was 16 years old and I didn't really know how to save properly or invest properly. And I was uneducated about that. And I feel like right now, as if you were 18 years old right now, there are a lot more resources that are more accessible. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, how my debt journey started because of my mindset about debt, and that debt is very normalized in society, that it's okay to have XYZ amount of debt going into university or coming out of university. Sorry. But yeah, the mindset about debt is what got me into it. So that debt came from school, from tuition. I didn't get a lot of money from OSAP, so my tuition ranged from about 12,000 a year to 14,000 a year. My parents would help me chip in a couple of $1,000s here. OSAP would give me $5,000, so then I was left with about, let's say, $10,000 or less, about 10,000, let's say, to pay for. So I was fortunate enough to have a job, have two jobs, have three jobs. So I would have jobs to help me pay off my tuition. In my final year of university, I got an email and I didn't realize that I had to pay off all my tuition payments by a certain date to get my diploma for graduation. And if I didn't pay those payments by a certain date, I wouldn't get my certificate for graduation until I paid off all my debts. So that would mean when you go to your graduation ceremony and you walk down the aisle and they give you that piece of paper, you don't get that piece of paper. I think you actually get a bill of how much debt you have outstanding, which is kind of ridiculous because I mean, you invest so much time and money, and the system just really just tries to take out all this money from you. And if you don't have enough money to pay for it, they charge you interest, which puts you into even more debt, especially for people who already can't even afford it and are in there, I guess, struggling. So that is how I got into debt, is because I had to pay off my tuition. I had to pay off $8,000 in a couple of days or I wouldn't be able to get my graduation certificate. And I know I should have, maybe I should have went to the bank and opened up a line of credit, and I don't have a lot of information about line of credit because I did go to the bank beforehand and I did try to get a line of credit for school just in case I needed that extra money for tuition, and they told me that I didn't need it, ironically. But then I guess when I did need it, I thought I didn't have enough time to apply for the line of credit and get that money on time to for the payment deadline, right? What I did was, it was strange, but that same week that I got the payment deadline, I also got credit card increases from every single one of my credit cards. What I did was I put $8,000 of debt onto my credit card, and I told myself, well, I'm gonna get a job after university anyways, so I'm gonna be able to pay off that debt. The idea that you go to school, you go to school, you go to university, you get your degree, you pay off a bunch of debt, you get a job, a 9 to 5 job, like the whole typical norm in society about what it is to have a job, have family, get a house, get married, have kids, and die, right? Like that's kind of the normalized pathway. Yeah, I put down $8,000 of debt into my credit card, and I traveled after school. I told myself that, oh, maybe I'll go back to school and do a post grad in event management. Applied for that, got accepted into the program, and decided not to go forward with it because of how much debt I realized I had after school. In this part, I guess I will start to break down 4 ways on how I managed to pay off my debt. And the first way that I managed to do this was realizing and acknowledging and listing all of my debt, all my bills, all my expenses, all my income. So, what I did was I wrote down all my credit cards. I have 3 of them. I wrote down every single one of my credit card, wrote down the debts for each one, wrote down my student loans, like all of that stuff. I wrote it down just so I can visually see what my debt to income ratio was, I guess. Wrote all of that down, realized I had about over $26,000 in debt from my credit card and from my OSAP. So $26,000. And I think at that time I was working 3 jobs. So I traveled, and then in 2019 is when I started getting serious about my debt journey. So let's say beginning 2019, I was working 3 jobs. I was working, I think, Michael Kors, Second Cup, and physiotherapy. I was at a physiotherapy clinic, and then after working those 3 jobs, I was working another 3 jobs, and then another 3 jobs. And it's funny because 2019, I made $30,000 after taxes. So that's about how much money I made that year with bouncing on and off of minimum wage jobs. And I killed myself. Honestly, I killed myself working like 14-hour days, 7 days a week, and I was just trying to grind, and thinking about that debt made me really depressed. 2019 was my year to be more of an adult and to acknowledge the mistakes that I made, I guess, and to try to make myself better. But it was also a really tough year mentally because paying off debt isn't really fun. Working a minimum wage job when you have a degree really made me reevaluate where I wanted to be in life and what direction I was actually trying to go and what direction I was headed. Once I saw how much debt I had to pay, I was researching about other ways that other people are paying off their debt or methods out there that people were already using to pay off their debt. So of course there's Dave Ramsey. He has the 7 baby steps. The 7 baby steps are 7 steps on how to get out of debt, essentially. So baby step number 1 is to start a $1,000 emergency fund. Baby step number 2 is to pay off all your debt using the debt snowball method. And then baby step number 3, save up to 3 to 6 months of expenses in savings. Yeah, so I was like, okay, what the hell is a snowball debt? And what it is that you list your debts from smallest to largest regardless of the interest rate. So I'm just reading this from Google. There are 2 methods that people can pay off their debt. And one of them is the snowball method, so you work from the smallest debt to the largest debt. And then another one is an avalanche method, which is you figure out what percentage of interest is on each of your credit cards. So here I have an Excel sheet of all the expenses and the income and all the debt and everything. And then on the side, I put every single one of my credit cards and their percentages of interest rates. And I looked at it and I looked at it in that perspective. And I did do the avalanche method. So my highest interest paying credit card was 27%. And I think what's really discouraging about trying to move towards a debt-free journey is that if you're making minimum wage and your debt is, say you're paying, let's pay like $200, $300 every paycheck. You pay $300 a paycheck and your interest eats up all that money that you worked hard on to put into that payment. So I think that was the hardest part about paying off my debt, was that my income was not as big as I wanted it to be to help me move forward in being debt free. So yes, so first list all your expenses and your income. Second, research about how others are doing it. And third would be starting small and paying off the smallest debt percentage or smallest debt to the biggest. And then fourth would be earning more money. While I was researching, of course, so Asia Dang is a YouTuber and she was really transparent about her debt-free journey and was showing everyone online how much money she made, how much expenses she had, how much her tuition or her debt was. And I think it was like $200,000 if I'm not wrong. So it was a lot of money, and I think watching other people pay their debt and what their debt journey was like really helped motivate me as well in my own journey, and to really stay focused and know what your reason why you want to get out of debt. I want to get out of debt because I don't want to be working 3 jobs and paying off all my paycheck is towards debt and it doesn't even go anywhere because I'm earning so little, and then I'm working 20-hour days or 80-hour weeks, like, and then breaking down and crying because I'm exhausted and I hate everything, and you spiral, right? And you feel so crappy about yourself, and that things may be better if you were elsewhere, if you were in a different position, if you didn't put yourself in this position, right? But there's so much emotional attachment that comes into debt, which is why I think a lot of people don't talk about it, because debt is associated with so much stress, so much anxiety, so much you get depressed. There's so much emotion that comes with your debt that we don't really like sit down and acknowledge it and write it down, I guess, because it's so normalized. You're like, oh yeah, like it's on my credit card, can't really afford it, ha ha ha. Especially when this pandemic hit, I think that a lot of people realized how serious they need to take their finances because of what's happening, and because you don't know what's going to happen, right? So yes, sorry, pause. I'm gonna go backwards. I'm gonna go back to step number 4. And step number 4 was realizing that I needed to earn more income. So in 2020, I made it, and I vouched for myself that I'm not going to be working any more minimum wage jobs. 25 years old, I've had enough of minimum wage jobs. I deserve more. I earned my degree. I need to find a job that I know that I deserve. I know that I deserve, and I know I deserve more than minimum wage. I mean, I'm not putting down anyone at all. I'm not putting down anyone at all who is working a minimum wage job. But we deserve so much more than just that. Like, I've worked so many Jobs like that just you feel so undervalued and you have no benefits, you have no real opportunity of moving up and moving forward, and they only appreciate you when you try to leave and they try to make you stay. I was just looking for a job that really aligned with me. I think that when people are trying to earn more money, that they take whatever opportunity there is because of the money. And I know that I said that I was trying to find something that aligned more with me, but I think that's a new realization now, and something that I found during the pandemic was that I wanted something to align more with myself rather than relying on the money, right? So at the end of 2019, as I was continuing, of course, paying off my debt, I started a job, and it's a commission-based job. I'm a disability insurance agent, and they bet on it. They say that you can make XYZ, there's no cap and everything. True, very true. With any self-employed job, you don't necessarily have a salary, and you earn your money off sales and commission, which can be a really great structure for people who have that skill set and passion for the industry. So, diversifying my income, I was doing that, and I was serving at Moxie's, and you get pretty great tips. And so, the money that I would make, I would put $1,000 and then $1,000 and $2,000, and then $4,000 I would save, right? So, it's funny because I actually became debt free in March when the pandemic happened, and I'm very thankful that I don't have to stress and worry about all that debt. The debt that I have now is my OSAP, and that's about $12,000. But the interest rate for OSAP is not as much as my interest rate for credit cards. And knowing that I can pay off $13,000 on a 30K salary, which is almost half of what I was earning, I know that I can pay off my OSAP if I was to make an actual salary. And breaking it down, know your debt and acknowledge it, and visualize it. Research how others are doing it, and methods that can help you. And that way it can motivate you as well. And then start small, figure out your own method, and put down as much as you can towards it, and diversify your income. I think it's funny because, like, watching Asia Dang's debt-free journey and her debt-free scream on the Dave Ramsey show. You go on the Dave Ramsey show, you talk about how you became debt-free, and you scream. You scream, I am debt-free! You give that big scream, and it's like hella emotional. It's so emotional, man. But to me, when I made that last payment for my credit cards, I did not. I was like, man, alright, that's that. What's next? Now I have to save for a house. Now I have to do this. And I think I didn't really sink in that accomplishment until I said it out loud. And I would tell friends, oh yeah, like I paid off my 13K credit card debt. And they're like, oh, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I don't know, it really made me question about why am I not happy or enthusiastic or congratulating myself more that I am credit card consumer debt free. So yeah, I hope that some of these steps can really help you. Some of these, I guess, realizations about association with debt and money can really help you think of your own relationship with money, and that it's okay to talk about it and say it out loud, and you don't have to have it taboo, because it can help someone else You can do your debt-free journey with someone else, hold yourself accountable. One of my other goals was every time I paid off a credit card debt, I would give myself a treat. And I don't think that was the best thing to do. So say, for example, I paid off my PC MasterCard, paid off $3,000. All right, now let's get a Marjorie necklace. But I don't think I should have gotten a Marjorie necklace that would put me in even more debt if I didn't have the money to pay for it. You know, like my goals could have been different. My relationship with money now, it's more like I understand it more. I know where to cut down. I use my Excel sheet and I bookkeep and I just keep myself on track. And every single week or every single couple of days, I look back at it and I ask myself, am I on top of my financial goals for this month or this week? Am I sticking to what I want to accomplish, right? So yeah, thank you so much for listening. I really hope that this can help you in some way. And if you're on your own debt journey, I am rooting for you. You're gonna make it. You're gonna get out of it. I swear you're gonna get out of it. And you're gonna break down and you're gonna cry like 1,010,000 times like I did. But I'm getting hella emotional just talking about this right now. I'm kind of emotional because reflecting back on how hard of the year 2019 was, like you can't, I love traveling. You can't travel if you really want to buckle down and pay off that. Like I didn't shop for that whole year. I think I did mostly trading apps, or if I did shop, I would get like a new face wash, something that was a necessity. And I really tried to be a more minimalistic, be a more mindful person, and mindful in what I already have, what I already own, what I need, what I don't need, and differentiate from need and want, right? So just remind yourself why you're doing this. Is it because you don't want to pay this debt for 5 more years? You don't want to live the life that you're living right now, and you really want to get more for yourself and have less worry. You want to stop paying these high interest rates. Like, you got this. Like, you got this. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. I really hope that this episode has helped you in some way about talking about your own finances, which is a very taboo topic. And we'll chat with you in the next podcast. Bye.